Rajesh Agarwal. Rajesh ji, we can't see you. Is he online, Rajesh ji?
सर लाइन पे तो हैं ये,
Can't see him.
he is joined as a guest.
Can you please call him?
Yeah, I'll call him, sir. He is joined as a guest 3. Wait, I'll just call. सर आपका माइक म्यूट है और वीडियो भी ऑफ है आपका. हेलो राजेश जी.
He's not logged in.
नहीं लॉग्ड इन है सर. he is joined as a guest 3. he is Mr. Rajesh. So
Okay, can you hear me now?
yeah, we can hear you now.
And what about my video?
Yeah.
Sir, you need to
No,
share
we
again.
can't see you.
You can't see me?
No sir.
Okay, let me share the video and share it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's again gone.
Yeah, I just disappeared. I'll come back.
Yeah. Okay. So a very good afternoon to everyone. I would like to welcome our chief guest and speaker for the day, Mr. Rajesh Agarwal. Thanks, Mr. Agarwal, for joining us. Friends, as you know, our CMD has been a strong advocate of automation, digitization, and using technology to manage even the nitty-gritties of our business. He's always had this dream, and we are in the current times actually is the best time to fast track this initiative of digital transformation. Since we are at the cusp of rolling out our ERP, it is just the beginning. And as our ERP is being rolled out, I would call upon each one of you to actually participate and be a part of this entire transformation process. It would be, there couldn't have been a more opportune time to have this topic, which Mr. Agarwal will be speaking to us on, digital transformation using artificial intelligence and robotic process automation. We shall understand a lot more about this once we start interacting with him. And I would now like to call upon Sumit Laik from Kolkata to introduce our team.
Sir, very good afternoon. And can you hear me, sir? Is it audible?
Yes, Sumit.
Thank you, sir. So I am privileged. Today I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Rajesh Agarwal. Rajesh Agarwal heads the robotic process automation business at Datamatics since over a decade. He is an MBA from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute and an engineer from the SPC Mumbai University. He brings with him over 20 years of varied experience in the field of information technology and IT-enabled services, and has been instrumental in developing the proprietary solution for RPA 2Bot with the objective of improving business process for its clients. He has expertise in the area of digital transformation, technology innovation, IP development, solution architecture project management, pre-sales, account management, transition management, and business process reengineering. Rajesh has been working with the Fortune 500 companies, especially leading banks and insurance companies. His understanding of customer behavior and stakeholders management emanating from the several prestigious projects that he was part for both nationally and globally. Mr. Rajesh has written articles for various magazines like CIO Insiders and published several white papers, and regularly writes blogs on his subjects, helping the industry with his knowledge and experience. And he, along with his team, has won several awards for their AI-based software from CIO Choice, CSI, RBNQA, IQPC, etc., and has been covered by various analyst firms like Gartner, Forrester, IDC, Everest, and various others. Mr. Rajesh has been attending seminars and is a speaker on various forums across the globe, USA, UK, Europe, Middle East, and Asia, being part of the events on intelligent automation, CS Service Organization Network, RPA events, digital transformation, large industry events, and partner client driven events. So I heartily welcome Mr. Rajesh Agarwal to start his webinar today. Thank you.
Thanks, Sumit. So I already been introduced. I'm Rajesh Agarwal, and basically a technocrat having both technology and commercial uh, under my experience, and been working with Datamatics for last almost 20 years now. And main focus is of developing our own IP in the area of automation, digital transformation, and artificial intelligence. So it is my pleasure to go through some of my experiences in this area, and then help you to some extent of your journey in digital transformation. So I have a presentation which I'll share and go over some of the pointers, and we will also take some question answer towards end of the session. So let me share my screen, and I'll request you to confirm once you are able to see it. Okay, I just shared my screen, the digital transformation. Just confirm if you are able to see that.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, great. So the topic today is digital transformation, and some of the technologies used in digital transformation like RPA and AI. So digital transformation is nothing like this itself is very confusing. Like everybody makes use of this term, but are not very sure of what does it include. So it is the use of new, fast, and frequently changing digital technology to solve business problems. So it is the use of digital.
दबाव
It is the use of digital technology. It is allowing the organization to use technology and people process to fundamentally change business performance. So it's not a simple thinking, it's a radical rethinking how an organization can use this technology to change business performance. So it is the process of using technologies to create new and modifying business processes, culture, or customer experiences. So it's not necessarily creating new, it can be even modifying the existing business processes to meet the changing business and market requirements. So continuously things are changing. It's very dynamic situation. You all will agree that we are living with a very dynamic situation. So to meet these continuously changing business and market requirements, how do we make use of digital technology? And the reimagining of business in the digital age is digital transformation. So I hope that is very clear. It's a simple, but sometimes not very clear. There is a thin line. People make use of this word interchangeably with other things. So I just thought I'll first of all clarify this part. What are the guiding principles? So like there are 10 guiding principles. In stage one, you have to have the senior management commitment. So it cannot start from bottoms up, it has to be top down. Second thing is to have a clear ambitious targets, so they have to be very clear measurable targets. And then secure investment, so anything which you want to go with technology or anything you want to change or embrace new things, you have to have investments in place which are secured and set aside for this journey. Second stage is then launch and the accelerate the things. So you then start and lighthouse projects which are very high level. Then you create a team around it, and then organize to promote new and agile way of working, which is also very important because and data acceleration. So how do we find out patterns? What are the different learnings from the past? So you create a data mining or a data lake, and then you arrive at some business intelligence from that big data, and then you place your decisions based on that information available. Internet of Things is another very equally innovative technology picking up. So how, like in your industry, that will be a good thing, that where you are supporting the projects and all. So like so many uh, things are used, so many props are used. So how they can communicate with each other, how they can send signals or alerts to your back office or headquarter, that how much of the project is completed, what are the things completed that day. Instead of somebody manually entering the information, can the system or can the machine themselves send some kind of information. So that's a very important area which we should look into, is Internet of Things. So nowadays, as you know, the cars talk to each other. If the accident takes place, the car can send the picture of the accident to the insurance company, to the doctor. If the driver is not in condition, even it can take the few pictures from the neighboring signal area or the CCTV if installed in the neighboring area, so that at any point of time, if somebody has to ascertain that how this accident took place, and the whole information will be available. Design thinking is another area where you use lot of technologies for designing systems and all. Artificial intelligence, which is what I'm going to talk about today, like how do we make use of AI, machine learning, natural language processing, cognitive powers to make use of in the business processes, modifying or creating new business models. RPA is nothing but the robotics process automation. So this is not a physical robot or mechanical machine robot. It's a software robot. I'll talk about some of the use cases of RPA in construction or the consultancy area. So how the robots, software robots can help to automate various repetitive and manual jobs. Then I talked about advanced neural machine learning techniques. So there are techniques which are available which you allow us to make the machine learn. So as and when things happen, it will draw the patterns from there and it will continuously evolve. Machine will make some kind of learning from the past information and improve itself over a period of time. AR and VR is another area. Augmented reality and virtual reality is very commonly used, especially in the retail business. I'll talk about some use cases where it is giving the boost to the business, almost like 50 times, 100 times, and not incremental growth of 5-10%. So AR and VR is a very big area in some of the industry and giving a jump, exponential growth to the enterprises. Additive manufacturing. So how the manufacturing can be additive by these technologies, and how things can be automated to the extent possible, and how the manufacturing production, or what we call it, the capacity utilization, can be improved. So these are the technologies, some of the technologies for digital transformation. Today I will be dwelling upon mainly the AI and RPA area, but if anybody has got any interest in any of the other areas, I can definitely connect back to that person. So this is the life cycle of digital business transformation, which starts generally with the customer, because as you know, now most of the enterprises are customer focused. So you have to engage with your customers and see how this digital journey will help them. Then you have to empower your employees to meet those expectations. Then you have to build the platforms. You have to build the intelligent platforms, maybe cloud based or maybe on-prem solutions. Then you have to build that platform. Also create more personal computing. So you have to, and as I told you, automation and make them powerful, and then reinvent the productivity and business processes. So you have to look at all the business processes and the productivity norms and see how can you improvise them substantially, not incremental benefits but substantial benefits. If you have to change some processes, if you have to standardize some processes, centralize some processes, you have to define them, reinvent them, and then derive the benefits. and then you have to optimize your operations with all that I talked about, and finally transform your product, which is very important because the way we carry out business will definitely change, and if we don't change with time, somebody else will take away the whole you know business growth, and uh, they will be ahead of us. So basically you have to transform your business models, you have to transform your products, you have to transform your services continuously. So if I have to tell you what are the different types of digital transformation, so there are mainly four types of digital transformation which I have come across. One is the transformation of the business process itself. So you are not changing the process, but you're transforming it, like with the help of RPA I talked about, with the help of AI or Internet of Things. So the processes are same. You are making, of course, the optimization of those processes, but you are transforming them. You are automating them. Then second is the transformation of the business model. So how do you carry out the business? What are the different engagement models? What are the pricing models? What are the different offerings you are making? So the complete model under which your business is running, that you can transform, or you can transform the domain. To give an example, like Sony, if we are considering, was generally about electronics and all, but they transformed the complete domain and they got into entertainment. So that is the way, I defined domain transformation. Then cultural and organizational. So that's also a very very good candidate for transformation. One type of transformation. So the whole culture of the organization or the organizational structure, everything is undergoing transformation using the digital initiatives. So these are the four main types of transformation. So there are some notes I want to share with you, that various corporations often focus only on the process or organizational. So they don't address the other types of transformation. So either they are transforming the process, which is a very very common and low hanging fruit, and to start with you can do that, and also the organizational transformation. But they leave out the other areas, which is you are leaving the significant value on the table. So business models can change, domain can change. I give an example, and then suddenly your growth is unparalleled. So you have to look at those other types of transformation as well. So as I said, the transformation means execution must be a team sport, but it should be championed by the CEO. So it has to be having the uh, buying from the CEO and mandated by the CEO and top down. Third point is that many corporations erroneously believe digital transformation begins with cultural and organization, which is not the case. So although they want to do all four, but they start with cultural only. They think unless we change, things will not change. So that's not the case. So you have to do all four of them, and you can start with process transformation, or you can start with the domain itself directly. So not necessarily you have to start with the cultural, but you have to address all of them so that you get best out of it. Then another thing which I talked about, that people make use of things, interchangeably, and they call digitization or digitalization as a part of digital transformation, and there is no clarity between the three of them. So just to clarify for the audience here, that you should be very clear what are we talking about when we talk about digitization, or is it same as digital transformation. So as you can see, digitization is to move from analog to digital. So it is nothing but moving from paper or moving from analog things to digital. So that is the first thing called digitization. So as you must have seen, many large government projects are digitization projects. So they move from paper to digital. Like the land records are now digital, or a lot of drawings and all are digital, or all the papers or government case laws are put on the web. You can refer to the case laws or old cases and all, so that they are digital. So that is a pure play digitization, correct? So there is no digital transformation. Then the digitalization is using digital data to simplify how you work. So now the digital data is available. Use of that data to simplify your work. So that is another thing. So earlier, like when the banks were computerized and all that time they were going from paper-based things to the computerization. So that was the era of digitalization. So there is a digital data available, and then how you work. And now the thing which is called digital transformation is there everywhere. It adds value to every customer interaction, or supplier interaction, or your employee interaction. So it's a across. It's a cultural thing. It's a changing radical rethinking. As I said in the beginning, it's not a simple work of moving papers and scanning them and putting into some kind of DMS system or document management system. That is not digital transformation. So I thought that is very important to know. I thought I'll share with you because many times my customers, or even when I'm helping my customers to automate some processes, and they want to be part of the digital transformation, they are not very clear about these three items. So again, to highlight what are the key drivers for success. So of course, everybody wants to do digital transformation, and you got to know about something. What exactly is this? What types of this? How do you do that? But what are the success key parameters? So one is the management establishment of the transformation. So management has to be part of it, as we already discussed. Then digital tools implementation, technology across the organization. And this technology generally should be self-serving. So employees or the vendors or the partners should be able to use it on their own. Like vendors should be able to send your invoices or download the statements of the payment, or they should be able to make a query about the payment directly through a web or some technology. So self-servicing is very important. And senior managers have to foster the sense of urgency. So time is very, very important. Time is essence, as we all know. So they have to foster the sense of urgency. Then the people who are at the key roles should ensure the collaboration between different teams and different initiatives. They should not be working in isolation. A complete collaboration is required. The technology should be able to talk to each other, feed each other, and coexist and grow. Standard operating procedures have to modify. So SOPs will undergo modification under new technologies. Senior leaders have to encourage the employees to experiment with new ideas. So not only what seniors have decided, the people on the ground, the people who are using it day by day, should be able to experiment with new ideas and suggestions. So they should be encouraged to give feedback and give some kind of ideas, and even challenge, or they should be encouraged to challenge old ways of working. Then they should be involved in developing the initiatives. So after the change effort, they should be involved in developing the initiatives. And then senior management should ensure again the collaboration between units of transformation initiative. So this is, I have taken it from a source of a survey conducted by McKinsey, and there they have talked about some of the success criteria for the digital transformation. Now let me give you some examples of digital transformation action. One is in the retail, which I have highlighted, is the augmented reality. In augmented reality, that consumers are doing the cosmetic experience. So here they can sample the makeup through a virtual image. So they can take a picture of their own and then apply the different shades or different cosmetics to see how it will look on them. So that has increased the the business to them, significant improvement. And 8.5 million visitors were there in that feature, and 200 million shares were tried out. So this was a major boost for retail. The name of the customer is there in front of you, is Sephora, and they use this AR to become a part of their digital strategy. And the consumer demands were changing, and they had to come out with this, which encourage their customers to try it out, and their business suddenly zoomed up. As far as the healthcare is concerned, machine learning I talked about, or computer-based version of a person, is another important technology they use. Like they created the computer copy of a person, and then levied different types of healthcare things on that person to see how it will be, react, how the person will react. So the testing of different, I should say, medicines or the treatments are tested on the computer version of a person to see how it will be reacted. So as you can see, virtual and augmented reality are both implemented. So, like in the example of Alzheimer patients, how it will not cure the patients, but it will create a familiar and comforting experiences for them. So they will be able to do better. They will be able to cut down their pain areas, and they will feel better. So not necessarily it is to cure the patients, but even to make their pain lesser the pains, and making their comfortable experience. In banking, I have seen, like, mainly they use big data, as I told you, to find out the patterns, to do the fraud analytics, to do the anti-money laundering cases. Then the robotics based processes like account opening, or giving the credit, the tax saving, all those routine, mundane, repetitive processes, they make use of robotics. Another technology they use very often is the blockchain. You people might have heard of it. And to tell you in brief, what is blockchain is nothing but it's a connected transaction, and once done, it cannot be reversed. So suppose, to give an example of a blockchain, just for layman's language, suppose we take an insurance policy, travel insurance policy. I don't think that makes sense in the current situation. We can't even go out of the house. But when we are traveling, we take a travel policy, and the travel policy allows that if the flight is delayed, then there is just some kind of compensation. In blockchain, all these nodes are connected. So insurance policy is connected to the bank of my account number and the airline portal, and automatically my ticket will be endorsed there. And once they know that my flight is delayed to the US beyond certain hours, automatically it will make a confirmation, and then it will invoke the policy and make a compensation request. And the insurance company will do it then and there, and even credit my account after confirming that. So by the time I land in the US, I would have got my compensation or my claim settled already. So that is making a lot of difference. Unless all the nodes or all the participating enterprises agree to that, it cannot be done. So I think the adoption is slow, but I think it will pick up very fast, and it will be very very innovative and changing technology, disruptive technology. So with that, I will move on to a specific technology of RPA, which is my favorite topic. So RPA is a software robot to mimic the human action. So it's a robot which is created through a software to copy the human action. So like a robot which can do your work, the software can copy your human action, and it actually copy that human action on the application interface for a repetitive high volume job. So I gave you an example of various mundane jobs of when the account opening happens, you have to enter some information, or some kind of compliance processes which you are supposed to create some data files and upload to RBI, or in the other compliances like tax compliances, or any kind of GST calculations. So there are a lot of things, even the account closure at the end of the year, various repetitive steps are done, and the applications are used. So those are the right candidates for robotic process automation. It's a very powerful, very powerful, and the savings are in the range of 25 to 40%, up to 50%, not only 5-10%. So it can, like examples, it can read emails, create emails, or reply to the emails based on certain standard inputs, or it can log into the various enterprise applications. It can move files and folders. It can copy paste data from one application to another application, which are not able to talk to each other because there are no API or no web services, and they are like distinct application, but you are required to move data across the application. It can fill in forms automatically from a document, like visa application form. It can fill up from your passport and complete the application form. It can read and write to databases. It can follow the decision rules, if this then do that. It can collect the statistics for various MIS and reports. It can extract the data from documents I talked about, like passport or Aadhaar card, or your any application form, account opening form which is filled up. It can do lots of calculation very fast without any error. As I told you, it can take the human input if required. Suppose if at the time of the bot running, it can be called as an attended bot. Humans can feed in some information and the bot can act on it. So it can be like 5% human intervention, 95% bot. So there can be an attended bot where the humans are working with the bot for various things, and there can be an unattended bot where the bot can run on its own. It can pull data from internet, it can scrap the data from internet. It's a very good candidate. Like various times, I work with one logistic company where they have the old trucks, being sold by them, but their sales was not picking up, and they wanted to compare with the other similar uh, companies who are doing it and how they are doing it and what are the prices they are keeping and all. So we have created a price watch for them. So it will go to the other websites designated by them, around 7 of them, on a daily basis, find out how they are selling, what are the prices, and that. Similarly, we have done it for eBay and Walmart. Like, if they are selling iPhone when it is released, are they giving any discounts, any coupons, and what are the price ranges, and then they can adjust their pricing. So, pull data from internet is a very good example of RPA. So I talked about manual batch file transfer, or moving data from one system to another system, reading from data, or like it can be two-way communication. So reading from one system, put into other one, and then if the correction comes, it comes for correction, it can do the correction and send it again. So it's not only sending the data from one system to another system, it will also read the success message or error message, and if there is an error message, it will do the course correction and submit it again. So it is quite intuitive. It's not like a dumb robot which will just perform ABC program for. It will know what happens if C is not there and all that. So it is an intelligent robot. So the basic premise for robotic process automation is definitely it has to be for high volume. It's not meant for simple and small volume. Of course, it can be used, but the time and efforts put into automate that may not give that kind of savings if the volumes are small. And these are virtual robots, as I told you, emulating the human actions. They are programmed for repetitive processes. So sometimes I have customers coming to me saying, okay, I do it once in a month. Can we automate? I said, technically we can automate, but it's not meant for that. Unless you have a job which is repetitive almost daily, then it's not making sense. Non-intrusive is another important aspect of RPA. So we don't make any changes to the underlying process or underlying technology. It is exactly the same process is running and the same technology. Only thing is, instead of human managing those processes and applications, the bot is doing it, robot is doing it. So it will actually open the Excel sheet, read the information, go to that application, maybe an ERP application, and go to that, log into that application with the login credential like a human, go to those menu commands and go to that page and enter the information as like a human. So it's not expecting you to give a change, it's not saying that okay, change the application or change the process. And as I told you, it is intelligent enough. It is ability to differentiate that underlying application is not working, or the success message has not come, or there is a delay today, suddenly the network is very slow and the applications are not able to respond on time. So it will be able to wait for it. It will not complete the transaction erroneously and then go ahead and say that okay, I completed all the transaction, and then the operator has to find out, oh, but out of 100 two were not done correctly, which is not the case. It will automatically put those two cases in a exception queue. Benefits are multifold. Of course, all the three constraints, time, cost, quality, are taken care of. Cost comes down considerably. Quality improves because the manual element is minimized, and the time is you know definitely much faster. Bot can be available 24 by 7. It's not a shift basis, that 8 hour shift, and it can work on weekends. Like for a bank, when we were doing some kind of transformation, we were allowing the bot to run on Saturdays and Sundays. And for large amounts, the interest even for 2 days is very huge, and the customers are benefiting from that. So it's a very very good improvement in the business interaction with customers. Plus the risks are minimized because the manual element is minimized. So the to give an example, verification and various applications. Then we talked about, like manual intervention for repetitive processes, and it can overcome the operational challenges and two-way transfer with almost like 100% accuracy. So it will not complete a wrong transaction. It may not be able to correct everything. So suppose if there are 10 types of exceptions which may occur in a process, and all of those have been enabled in RPA, then it will do it. But an 11th one comes up, it may not be able to do the correction on its own. Then it will log it as an exception, and somebody will have to manually look at it. So it will not misbehave. It will not do a wrong transaction. Just to give you another aspect of the life cycle of the RPA automation. So first of all, like the deterministic. So which are the processes which will need this? What kind of intelligence is required? What kind of cognitive powers are required? Machine learning. If there is any speech recognition required, voice recognition required, any pattern identification required. Then the controls have to be put. So analyze the robotics health, how the robots are performing, are they doing the necessary transactions, are they giving that kind of benefits in the performance manager. And then there has to be a control tower or dashboard or some kind of cockpit where all the robots are monitored, measured and controlled. So that is a complete life cycle. So you create the bots, you optimize them, you see if there is any cognitive required, and then you manage the bots, and then you derive the MIS and reports. So ROI calculations or exception resolution, how many straight through pass cases happening. So all those are the parts of the life cycle. I tried to find out some use cases in construction industry. My experience is not much in construction industry, to be frank with you, but there are few functions which are across the industry which don't change, like finance and accounting, HR, IT. Across the industry they are very common. And if you want to specifically find out the possible use cases of RP in construction, these are some of them, like the invoice creation. Like any invoice creation process can be automated, or updating the vendor master or client master or the list of subcontractors. So that's another candidate for automation. So I think I have done that for many clients where they are doing invoice processing or vendor management. So the vendor sends some documents and you are required to create a new vendor, and then somebody has to authorize it. That can be done through RPA. So it will read that information, feed that information into your ERP, and then somebody, it will send it for approval, and once approved it will create the vendor. Document management is another good candidate of reading some key information, indexing it and putting into the document management system for scanned documents search and retrieval. Cost monitoring, so various production reports or cost to estimate reports can be created by pulling in data from other systems or other sheets, and the budgets can be created. Estimate generation is another good example. I think that you must be dealing with very often, if I'm not mistaken. So it can create a estimate based on the information which is collected from the customer, and then can generate a preliminary quote, and that can be reviewed by somebody. It may be an attended bot, that the quote prepared by the bot will be reviewed by somebody and make some changes and then submit. But almost like 80 to 90% of the work, calculations, applying the different rates and models will be done by the bot. So it will give help to great extent to the people to generate the estimates. Text preparation or text filing is another good example of RPA. So we have done it for many of our clients, where we can find out how much are the purchase invoices tax paid, and how much is the sales invoice, and what is the GST payable. And when they file it on the GST portal, bot can go and check whether the amount filed by them is exactly the same amount which they should file, or create the document for filing the tax returns, or even the not GST return but the annual tax returns. Recruitment is one more area where it can scan portals and LinkedIn based on certain search criteria of education or certification, and extract the necessary profiles automatically. So we have done this very often. We subscribe to Naukri.com and all, like most of our clients, and they were doing it in the daytime by the recruitment team, and now they have used these bots, and they put the search criteria, and the bot goes to the portal in the night and matches all the criteria, downloads the key information along with the detailed resume and update the databases, and then that is available for the different business teams for uh, scrutinizing the profiles and finding out the suitability of them. So the whole process of searching, downloading, updating the database can be automated. Onboarding of employees, another very good candidate. So not only for construction or onboarding of subcontractors, suppliers, even for employees, giving them the necessary employee ID, the rights on the machines, creating the email IDs or creating the access rights, everything can be completely automated. Email responses can be automated to the standard emails, so that takes care of almost like 40-50% of the emails, which are very standard emails. Even like we have automated a process of email response to the vendors when they ask for payments, confirmation, or this outstanding statement. So the bot can read the outstanding statement, check the status of the invoice, and confirm back whether it's paid or under process or the invoice copy not received. So send the copy of the invoice. We have done it for a lot of organizations. Invoice processing is the most suitable candidate again. When the invoices come in, the bot can read the information, match it against the PO if there is any purchase order, check whether there is any discrepancy. If it's a non-PO, it can prioritize the invoices which are due, like utility invoices and all, and put up for payment. Very good candidate for automation. RFP, request for proposal. I think it's a good candidate again. So it can assist several parts of the RFP process in the estimate, documentation, filling up the necessary standard documentation about the organization, the last 3 years, revenue numbers or the office addresses. So filling up a lot of information can be automated in the RFP. So I thought I will share this with you. This is not the exhaustive list of possible candidates of RPA, but some of the possible processes. I learned that you have Microsoft Dynamics, so I just thought of giving you one typical task which can be automated. So, like going into the Microsoft Dynamic application, searching for vendor database, check if we have any outstanding balance with these vendors, and if so, then how much is that value, how many days are left for the payment due, and for the overdue invoices, email can be fired, or for the upcoming invoices, payment cash flow statement can be made that these are the invoices due in the coming 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. So these are like this can be in any ERP. I'm not talking about only Microsoft Dynamics, but I'm just giving an example. And like audit process in the ERPs we have done. We have done the invoice processing we talked about. We have done the process of creating the documentation for import export. If you are importing some machinery, there are some documentation required, or making a request to the bank for outward remittances and bank statement reconciliation from the ERP. So you download the bank statement using a bot and then go to your Dynamics and download the corresponding entries in the ERP and then match it. So these are the good candidates for RPA. In F&A, these are some of them again, just to give you some more ideas about the RPA possible use cases. Supplier onboarding, we talked about, invoice processing, portal queries. So there can be queries coming on the portal very often, and these can be replied by the bot. Price comparison I talked about already. Market intelligence, contract terms review and checking, pricing comparison for suppliers, order processing. So that we have done for many of the clients, that when orders are received from different channels like the mobile application or web, or from the their authorized dealers, all of them can come. The bot can read all of them, create an order into the ERP and confirm back that yes, your order is received successfully, there is an inventory available, and the delivery will happen by so and so date. Delivery reconciliation, customer onboarding, master data maintenance, updating the customer record, changing of the address, changing of the owner, changing of the entity type of the organization, all that can be done by the bot. Financial closure, I talked about, year end closing and closing the books of accounts and opening into the new year. All those can be done by the bot. Data extraction for the accounting close. Reconciliation, like tax reconciliation, bank reconciliation, account reconciliation, all are the good candidates for RPA, for F&A. So please make a note of all your questions. We will definitely cover that. but I thought just I'll give you good examples of use cases possible. Coming to artificial intelligence, briefly I'll talk about it. What is this? So what is AI? It's a computer science regarding the smartness of the machine, which are very similar to requiring human intelligence. So to differentiate between RPA and intelligence AI is that RPA is like your hands and legs and eyes, where AI is your brain. So if any intelligence is required, any pattern recognition is required, any any kind of what I should say learning is required over a period of time, then that's an AI. The RPA will not learn on its own. So RPA has to be powered with machine learning if the bots have to become better and better with passage of time. So significance of AI, it brings the error-free world, can perform tasks with the complex computation. In the RPA, we talked about the normal computation or the repetitive things. Where here the repetitive task, but involving the complex computation. Accurate and faster results, especially used in banks and financial systems because we are managing a lot of critical financial information. Medical sciences is another area. Air transport is a very dynamic thing and very time bound thing. Gaming areas, deep learning and artificial neural networks. So deep learning is machine learning that teaches computers to learn and adapt through experience. So how we become with our experience better and better, same way machine can learn and have a deep learning, and it is learning the data representation. So it is a key technology, like how we are expecting the driverless cars come up very soon. It is a learning which is enabling them. So they are doing a lot of experiments, and accidents still happen, but they are trying to improvise that with the passage of time. What was the learning from the past experience? And neural network is nothing but the models which are enabling the AI. So I'm not getting into the models and all, but you should be aware of these common terms. And if the neural network changes or learns, it is based on the input and output. So it will improve it further. So if the input had changed, what was the decision taken by the operator because that was not handled by the engine, and the engine will learn from it, or the output expected has changed. Application of AI, just to give an example, like autonomous planning, scheduling of tasks. We talked about the driverless car already. Games, monitoring trade in stock market. So detecting and preventing unfair trading, or fraud analytics in bank transactions. So if like to give an example, if there are five entities in a bank and the transactions are always happening in a circular way, that may give some kind of idea that may not be a right transaction, and it may be required to be reviewed by somebody. Air transport, natural languages, so making machines to perform as per your instructions. We are already seeing Alexa and all. In surgery, various types of AI assistants are created for microsurgical procedures. Advantages are like, of course, it is replacing humans in various tasks, but the accuracy and precision and the speed is very high. Can detect the fraud, which is very difficult for human eyes to detect. Cyber security, you cannot go through all the messages or all the social media flooded with things, so it can find out something may not be looking correct. It will not be affected by the environments, it is not dependent on that. It can work anywhere in the mines or space. It can also do the prediction. That's another advantage of AI. So it can make not only prescriptive, but it can be predictive also. So it can make predictions. So one project which we are working with one of the governments in Asia and Pacific area is finding out the prediction on the requirement of currency notes in the coming years. So the economic models are predicted what will happen, and depending on what may happen, what is the requirement of the currency. So the based on the previous 50 to 100 years of different disruptions and economic or any kind of global crisis, it will be able to predict a lot of things. Disadvantage, of course, the initial cost is high. The machine definitely don't have the human touch. So some of the processes you have to be very clear that if the customer interaction needs a human touch, it's better to keep it that way. And then it may not be as efficient because changing situation may not be learned so fast like humans. We can we can learn it then and there, but they may take time. They need to see it at least 2 3 times happening. And you might have seen this, if the control goes in wrong hands, and not like a right example, but Facebook had something which was a wrong language getting auto created and then sending some different types of messages to all of them. And another thing which is very important, we should know that it will create a huge gap with the skilled people and mediocre people, so which cannot be kept away. These are the examples I talked about: patterns, cybersecurity, face recognition already handling, humanoids, medical and healthcare, Siri and Alexa we talked about, autonomous vehicles, driving vehicles, disease prediction, manufacturing and drone robots. We have seen that drone delivering food items, healthcare treatments, conversational bots for marketing, customer services. So they're chat bots and conversational bots, robotic advisors giving the advice on stock trading, spam filters. How do you identify it's a spam? Social media I talked about, dangerous content or some false news and recommendations based on your profile. So various examples. So I think that brings to the end of my presentation on the digital transformation and specific technological RPA and AI. I'll be having some minutes left, I think, which I can take more questions and answer.
Hello, can I ask you a question, please? Can I ask you
Sure.
a question, please? Thank you for a very illuminating lecture and keeping us abreast with the latest in the world.
Sure.
As engineers, we are quite scared of advancing technology, but we have no other option. We have to adopt it
Yes.
one day or the other. And
Yes.
Rodic is basically a project management company.
Correct.
And for project management company, we need project management software. And in
Correct.
project management, a lot of it depends on our document management also. You
Correct.
see, I have seen sites where we are supervising construction work. The contractor typically submits a RFI. RFI
Okay.
stands for request inspection.
Correct.
Contractor submits it in the site office. The team leader receives it, marks it to the resident engineer. The resident engineer in turn forwarded to the site engineer. The site engineer may be working 40 kilometers away in site and may be coming to the site office only once in a day. He's 40 kilometers. Its site work is out in the countryside. And then the site engineer may not be able, he might have some objections which have to be recorded in the RFI, and the document goes back the same way. So a small activity like this can be easily automated, and probably not only automated, we needed a mobile applications because most of the site
Correct.
engineers so this was one we need help in having mobile applications for our document management also. And also
Definitely.
another thing, I don't know, at any site we may be having 500 drawings, and
Okay.
once we are out, we may be wanting to refer to some drawing which is lying in the head office, which is again 40 kilometers away.
Correct.
So the inspection will become really useful because the drawing may not be with us. If we could have it on again another mobile application where at least not in the mobile, it's too small, but at least an iPad where we can open the drawing. Okay, we can have access control. Only some authorized people can have access to these
Correct.
documents. But these things we need to implement.
Definitely.
Uh,
So I think just to add to what you're saying is important is that it's not only like digitalization of making those drawings into digital, but as you rightly said, they have to be made available at the right time, at the right people, and maybe on the mobile, and with a facility to index and search. So how you get the which drawing you are looking for? You can't search manually to into those drawings. So all those are important. We have worked with a company called GE Energy, and I'm also myself PMP certified professional, and we are aware of those requirements from the project management angle, and even the sites may not have the internet all the time and all. So we have to keep all those considerations in mind while designing the and adopting the technology. So maybe it will be a low network thing, and it will be having some information on a local machine, and when you come back and when the internet is there, it will reconcile. So all those things are part of the design consideration, keeping in the project site which are on site and remote sites, and then they need this help or that document going across, or you're filling some information. So if you fill it on paper and then transferring it, can we give them some app or something of that sort, where they can enter the information directly into an app which can be compared and validated and moved across? And rightly said, based on the access control, everybody cannot see everything, and they can see whatever they are required to see. So that's a definitely a right way of thinking, and in that area, digital transformation.
Rajesh,
Yes,
this is Rajkumar this side.
yes,
Nice to see
Rajkumarji.
you. We had been
Right.
discussing, and I'm personally quite through maybe with certain year background. I am quite very much enthused by the what AI and robotics can bring in our sector, and the challenges I see broadly. What had been, because there is in any sector there is lack of acceptability if you don't see it broadly how it
Correct,
is happening or how your peers are doing it, because
correct,
you being such a senior professional with so much of experience bringing on the board, you could also find out, means, knowing us we are into project management, and that you had also a small list of things that we could be facing the challenge with, because
correct.
there is very less available in the media,
Yes,
or you can the internet or anywhere where
correct,
anybody can take and go ahead with. I am
correct.
looking the practicality, and now it becomes even more urgent for the companies
Mm-hmm.
into infrastructure sector like us in the, from
Mm-hmm.
engineering consulting. As you said, the last, when you were closing your talk, was the gap between the skilled people and the mediocre guys with the IA will be going to be very huge. That is, uh,
Yes,
I would like you to again dwell on that. The second thing that I'll just add on that, with AI, I think the design aspect, that what we are doing today for complex projects, even not only the road project, we are doing tunneling, hydropower, those things will be somewhere the artificial through the AI, your machine learning and those processes, 80% of the processes your machines are going to do it tomorrow. And
correct,
only the very senior design experts with a lot of experience would be finally needed to review that design before it is
correct,
being submitted to the client. That I
correct,
see, and because in all the service industry, the cost of the uh, whole of the processes is the manpower,
correct.
and that way you, as you, the other things you said about uh, the how you search for the CVs from the LinkedIn or you go from the job profiles, that also we have a lot of manpower doing this in all the
Oh,
organizations that we in our industry. I mean, not only
okay,
consulting, the construction side also.
okay.
And yeah, that is whole of the team is there doing that. Either we need to upscale ourselves, because this
Correct.
is going to come, nobody can stop it, and there,
Yes,
if we don't do it, some other will be doing it and we will be forced to follow it.
correct,
Either you be the pioneer or somebody, or you be a follower. That is
correct.
the only
Your choice.
thing that
That's your
I,
choice.
that's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
choice, how do you.
Yes.
And we are very aggressively looking at the new ERP we are getting it, what you call it, formulated for our organization, and we are, as we are doing it for every department is involved and hand holding them. So we are trying, because to set all the processes in such a perceptive, tomorrow it somewhat it looks like a robotic process automation. I will not say AI, but it will be at least a robotic, where everything is beyond a level, it is marked there and it is thrown up. If it is beyond it, the time period lapses or the severity is there, is the processes we want to set in, where the human intervention is minimized, I can say.
Right,
So
right.
I seriously see to it. Surely I'll interact with you again for some
Definitely,
capacity.
definitely.
But I would like to again have some comments on the gap between, as you said, between the skilled people, what the AI is going to bring in, and broadly on the AI sector. If you can add some.
Sure, sure. So I will give you one very good experience of mine with ICICI Bank, and when I started working with them in 2014, and their Chanda Kochar used to be the CEO that time, and we had known Mr. Kamath also. And her logic was very simple that they are growing, they don't want to remove anybody, but they want to have a complete shift in their job profile. So they will not do data entry. They were hiring the MBAs and those who are doing data entry. So all that they moved to robotics. And they said the same people will be able to make more businesses grow us better. To give an example of the RPA case, in account opening, they had introduced the tab-based banking. So the banking personnel is going to our house or office and just taking the photographs of the documents and opening the account then and there. That was manually done, which was taking half an hour. Now they could do it within 5 minutes. So instead of 3,000 accounts a day, they were able to do 15,000 accounts a day. So that helped us, it helped them to make with the same number of people do more businesses. From 3,000 accounts a day, 15,000 is 5 times. As far as the skilled and the mediocre people is concerned, they are very clear that anybody who is not highly skilled and intelligent enough to control the physical robot. So that interaction is also possible.
Okay, I just wonder if you had any feel for when there'd be more physical robots in the construction sector. In the manufacturing, you're absolutely right; they've been around for a long, long time. In construction, I'm not so aware of any.
I personally am not in that area, Robert. To be
Okay.
frank with you, I am not involved in physical robots so much. My degree is in computer science, so I am.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem, Robert. Let me see if they have any question on the chat window.
Hello, Rajesh ji. This is Ajit here. So thanks for your informative session. So
Thank you.
in RPA tool, so you have your own developed tool or you are implementing some market leaders such as UiPath or Blue Prism or Automate
We are
Anywhere?
both. We are both. Datamatics is a 45-year-old IT and services company where we have dealt with ready-made software. So even in RPA, we are partners, gold partners, platinum partners with UiPath and Automation Anywhere, not Blue Prism. And we have our own product also called TrueBot, which is also heavily used in banks, insurance, and manufacturing sector. So we are having. I am looking after the RPA implementation all over across the globe and across the software technology. So not only proprietary technology, we are not. Of course, we have our own technology, but we are not married to it. If in the given circumstances, if the customer is already invested in a particular technology, we don't shy away from that. We are okay to use that same technology, but maybe for a particular process or for a particular situation, our technology may suit better, and we leave it to the customer to decide. So we do both to answer your question.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
I got 2 questions on the chat. I think let me just refer to that. Okay, Tarun Mathur, yeah, sure. Anything else? Any other questions?
Mr.
More than
Smithun, I have a silly question. Is there any
okay.
limitation of RPA? And as you are aware that we are using Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft
Yes.
Exapta. So how can we implement with RPA in Microsoft Exapta?
Sure. So, see, first of all, limitations are part of the question. So, there are some limitations. I am not saying that robotics can take care of everything. That's why I said attended bot. So, few things cannot be done by the robot, software robot. If I can give you some names, areas, like signature matching and all, those are still to be done by humans. So, if there is a check to be passed, it can extract the information like check amount, name, check number and all. But if signature has to be verified, there is a science available, but it's not so mature. It may make mistakes. So there are limitations of robots where the humans are involved. Then coming to the engaging with Microsoft Dynamics. So RPA is very, very well versed with Microsoft technologies. It works well with Java and other technology and even the mainframe applications and all. But Microsoft is the sweet spot. So anything on the Microsoft Dynamics I talked about, like what you do the processes in the ERP, maybe the posting of the invoices, or if you're using it for HR part, all those processes are good candidates for RPA. So Microsoft technologies is a soft area for RPA automation. We have dealt with the complex areas which are not Microsoft based technology. Even the old legacy application we have dealt with. So Microsoft should be a cakewalk.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mithun.
Good afternoon, Rajesh sir.
Yes.
Sir, myself Pawan Kumar sir.
Hey, Pawan.
I am working as a document controller in the company, sir.
Okay.
I would like to know, sir, about the how can we use this system for document management system in our company, sir? Because we have seen so many software like Crystal document management system, how to keep the document, searching the document and doing the OCR, etc. But we are not finding this software much more relevant to our work, as we are seeing so many data in PDF files or other modes, but it is very difficult to place the data in a proper manner.
Right.
Without using manual.
Correct. So to give an example, we did it for one large bank recently in California, where they got 35 million documents. And how that project came to us, because that bank acquired 6 other banks in California, and they had to bring all their documents into their document management system called FileNet. So first of all, we should know that RPA is not the application by itself. You have to have a document management system, whichever suits your need. And then if you have to ingest the documents, index the document, all of that step can be automated by the robotics process automation. So once you have a document management system, the RPA can read those incoming documents or one-time backlog documents. As you rightly said, OCR, it can OCR them. It can extract the data information automatically, validate it. It can find out the key information on the document, the type of the document, the date of the document, who had signed it, what is it about. It can even create a small gist of it, like how we do write précis writing, one small paragraph around the details of the document. So somebody searching for the document, they can find it on the name of the document or the date of the document or origin. But before reading a 20-page document, they can read that gist of the summary of the document. So that is also possible. And all of that along with the images of the document can be put in the DMS. So that process can be automated by robotic process automation on the top of a DMS application.
On the top of the DMS.
Yes.
We can't do directly through the RPA.
RPA is not the application by itself. RPA, like you have to have an ERP, you have to have a customer CRM application, you have to have a DMS. So it's not, you have to have a workflow application. But whatever steps you are doing on the top of that application, that can be automated by RPA. So I think I want to highlight that very clearly. It's not the application which is the underlying application. You have to have necessary infrastructure application at your end. But if you're doing any manual activity on the top of that application, like in the DMS, you are ingesting the document, you are manually creating the indexes or key items, that can be automated by RPA.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So, any more questions?
I also have another call schedule and they are just calling me now.
Okay. Any more
Sure.
questions? Anybody else? Last
I
one.
can give my email ID. I think
We'll do that.
I can give it to Surendra. The people can write to me and my phone number. If they have any pressing needs, they can call me also.
I will just request our CMD, Mr. Rajkumar, to say a few words.
Not required, really.
No.
No formality.
Rajesh,
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for giving us quite a depth of the understanding of the things. Broadly, this particular subject is very close to my heart. I see our industry going to be transformed very fast on these lines, and with this COVID thing happening in between, the process will maybe it will become very, very fast towards the automation type, whole of the system automation, as well as arriving to the, maybe as you said about it, a lot of things can be achieved. You said about experience of the customers. Yes, that is also very important, though we are working with the government clients, but sometimes we don't feel like what is the experience. We have delivered it, we are fine with it. The second thing, somewhere you had one comment, not necessarily from the, what you call it, digital transformation, but you said ki everybody will now have to become a salesperson. That also you
that
had
is
somewhere.
my personal statement to everybody. Yeah, I love that.
Yes. So I picked that because that is going to be very, very important tomorrow with all such types of challenges coming in, such type of, you are looking at what is happening across the world. The world is very connected now. The challenges that we are seeing it.
Right.
And technology is the thing. Maybe 15, 20 days back, one of my friends, we have studied together. He is into some other sector, into manufacturing and all. He asked me, what are the sectors that you see that will benefit out of this particular
Crisis.
crisis the world has faced? I said, if you ask me personally, I feel maybe 20, 25 days back we were discussing about. I said the health is going to be one, and the other thing that is going to be biggest, that is the IT that you are talking about.
Yes.
That is the digital technology that is going to take you somewhere. Otherwise, somewhere you will finish them. That was, I believe it, and I believed it earlier strongly, but after your very elaborate description and the way you had talked about all these were basics for us because we are not from that sector. Naturally, you had dwelled on the basic aspects of that. But this is going to be very, very important for us. And as Tarun also had in between, he had a question about the processes, how we can digitize it, how we can make it the documents as well as the on the sites, how you control it. All of the thing is a big gambit for us, but we will surely take your help and we request you to see us through this journey also. And it's a lot of my passion also to be digitally number one in the sector.
Yes, that's a very right ambition. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me for this session and hope I was able to give some tips on the whole thing. So thank you for again and really enjoyed my session interaction with your team. Thank you, Rajkumar.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.